Hello and welcome to this new podcast episode. I'm Christina from Project Inner Leadership, and I'm so happy you are here with me today. In today's episode, I want to talk about a topic that affects so many people, what is commonly called burnout, or what I personally prefer to describe as a state of exhaustion. I don't particularly like the term burnout because I'm not a big fan of labeling things as diagnosis. Instead, I prefer to see it as a current state, something that is constantly changing. Because the truth is, our body, our emotional state, and our energetic state are never static. They are always in motion. One moment we may feel a deep sense of joy, abundance, and energetic fullness. And the very next moment, we suddenly may drop into sadness, heaviness, or lower frequency. By now, I believe most people are also aware that we cannot separate the body from our emotions, nor from our soul. And if you're familiar with the topic from my podcast, then you already know by now that I talk a lot about energy. And I talk a lot about our soul and our emotions, because if we work together with our emotions and don't see our body isolated, then we can create incredible things in this world. We can build incredible businesses. We can build incredible wealth, happiness, fulfillment, and basically the life that we've always desired. Once I found myself in that state of exhaustion, something that really helped me, and that is also a very important message I want to give you, no matter if you want to prevent burnout or you already have one or you already had one, no matter how intense or overwhelming this state may feel, it is never here to harm you. And that is something that I promise you, that is something you can really trust. It is not here to destroy your life. It is not here to break you. I know it can feel that way. Sometimes it feels like you're dying. Sometimes it feels like your entire future is so dark and you don't even know, you cannot even imagine how you will ever return to a normal life. But from the bottom of my heart, I want you to hear this. Every state of exhaustion, every burnout, every anxiety, every depression, no matter what diagnosis you got and however they call it, no matter how severe it may seem, it is always here to move you forward. It is here for you. It appears in your life because you have grown, because you have outgrown something, a role, a way of living, or a version of yourself that no longer fits who you are becoming. It's like wearing clothes that have become too small. At first, it might just feel slightly uncomfortable, then tighter and even more tighter, more restrictive, and eventually even painful. And that is only because you are more and more growing. You can't go back anymore. You can't grow smaller anymore. If you don't change, if you ignore first this tight feeling, the more restrictive feeling, then it becomes the pain, more and more pain, mentally and eventually physically. So those clothes will tear, not because something is wrong with you, but because you have grown beyond them. And that is so important. This is exactly what happens in a state of exhaustion, whether physical or emotional. These experiences are here to deliver a message for you, a very, very crucial message. You have outgrown something that no longer serves you. And this message, this burnout, is asking you to pause for a moment, to stop, to take a step back, and to change your direction. To let go of what no longer serves you, to allow the old to fall away. And this is also why burnout often feels as if something inside of you is dying, because something actually is ending. Your old self has reached its point where it is no longer necessary. It's no longer needed. So it can fall away. It can disconnect from you. It can die. Yeah. Literally, it can die. That's why I also, when I had my burnout, I felt I was dying, not from the outside that something hurts me and I'm dying because of the injury. I felt I was dying from the inside out. And that's why it is so important to remind yourself this state is not random. It's not meaningless. It is part of your growth. And if you can't begin to accept it instead of fighting it, it has the power to completely transform your life. Not in a negative way, but in a way that will make your future so much brighter, lighter, and more aligned than ever before. Believe me, a burnout is always a gift. It is actually one of the greatest gifts in life. It really is. You maybe not see it and not feel it right in this moment. Even if you right now, it feels like you're losing everything. You lose clients, you lose income, you lose opportunities, you lose your family, you lose your partner, you lose your brain, you lose yourself even, yeah? Trust me, this will shift. Everything will come back, often multiplied, if you allow yourself to see it as a gift. And this is the foundation, because only when you stop resisting can you truly start working with it. Not by suppressing it, not by running away from it, but by really meeting it and open yourself to it. So why does this state of exhaustion happen in the first place? It happens, again, because you have outgrown something. In my case, I was doing everything in my business. It was 6-7 years ago. I was still in the beginning of my business. I was still a freelancer. I did everything myself. In Germany, we say it, I was the girl for everything. Yeah. I did the customer support. I did the bookkeeping. I did the marketing, advertisement, the selling, everything I did myself. There was nobody here to help me because I thought, I cannot hire any people because I'm the best in everything and I can't trust anybody anyway. So I'm the best to handle my customers. I'm the best to do my bookkeeping. I'm the best to do my marketing. So I cannot pay anybody else to do that for me. And also I want to save the money because it's nice to have 10 to 15K a month just right straight away in my pocket. And I don't want to spend the money for anybody else because they're not going to do the job well. So I will maybe lose customers, and da. But that was the phase where everything began. That was the time when everything slowly started to become noticeable. My body had already begun to send me signals, not very strong, very subtle, but very clear in the inside. It was as if something was telling me, you're outgrowing this. You are stepping into something bigger. And looking back, it was the phase where I was meant to transition from being a freelancer to becoming a true entrepreneur. My soul was thinking much bigger than my mind could do at that time. My mind was very limited. My mind thought, 10 to 15K, that's already a lot for me. I don't need more. I can handle everything myself until the rest of my life. And, it was very limited. It was limited in not trusting other people, that I'm the best in everything. My ego was telling me a lot of these things. Especially now, so many women experience this. We are currently in a time of massive transition. The world, as we know, is changing. The old systems are slowly dissolving. Structure that once gave us stability are falling apart. And we are now stepping into something completely new. And while this new time opens up incredible opportunities, it also creates a lot of inner pressure. Because for us humans, this transition feels like something is dying. An old version of the world, an old version of ourselves is dying, and this process is not always easy. It brings up a lot of emotions that have been suppressed for so many years. It brings up everything that no longer fits. The old world has taught us to suppress fear, to suppress our feelings, everything that's going on inside of us and that doesn't fit into our structures and systems, they have to be suppressed. And now, in this time of transition, when this old system is falling apart, all these traumas, all these old emotions that they were suppressed for so long and have been stuck in your body, they come out again. And that's why so many people in this time, they experience a lot of fear, a lot of sadness, a lot of anger, for example. Yeah, I know a lot of people, they experience a lot of anger because they have suppressed their anger for such a long time. Now is the time where we are allowed to let go. We are allowed to let go of the old, of everything that doesn't serve us anymore, and to step into our authenticity and individuality. Because the new time, the age of air, is all about authenticity. It's all about who we are really, and if we are in our true power. And that is so important for the business of the future, for the business world of the future. And there is one thing that becomes absolutely essential in the future, and especially when you are experiencing a state of exhaustion, and that is your values. You need to know what you truly stand for, because burnout doesn't happen randomly. It happens when you go against your values for too long. In my case, one of my highest values was freedom. And that's exactly why I chose to become an entrepreneur in the first place, because I wanted freedom in my time, in my creativity, and how I live and work. But the irony was, I ended up feeling more restricted than I ever had in a 9 to 5 job. My business consumed me, the clients, the responsibilities, the endless to-do lists, the bills. And at the same time, I had my child with me 24 hours a day, because back then he was still very small. Everything together felt suffocating. I had no space, no time to breathe, no time for myself. I couldn't sleep anymore. My mind was constantly running, tasks, numbers, responsibilities. They never stopped popping up in my head. And suddenly, the very thing I had built for freedom felt like a prison. And I see so many women, they do the same. They start a business because they want to be free. They want to be financially free. They want to be free in their time and live and work however they want. But they end up in a prison where they feel more restricted than even in a 9 to 5 job. And the problem is that we forget our values. We go beyond our limits. And that is one of the most important things when it comes to prevention. To keep asking yourself again and again, am I living according to my values? Because this question changes everything. And in the coming years, this will become even more crucial, because the entire world, because especially in the business world, we need individuality and authenticity, as I've already mentioned before. In the world of AI, everything can be substituted. And that's why you, as an individual, with your wonderful special character, that's your time to build the life that you always desired and to become successful and build the success that you deserve with your individuality, with your authenticity. We already see that so many businesses are not surviving this time, not because they aren't good enough, but because they are not aligned. Entrepreneurs who are not living in alignment with their values, who are not living authentically, who are wearing masks and playing roles that are not truly theirs, will feel it deeply. Because not living your values always means one thing: you are not being yourself. And that creates this tension, this pressure, this disconnection. I realized that very clearly during my own burnout. For example, I noticed that the role I was in, for example, doing the marketing, no longer felt right for me. I didn't want to constantly focus on numbers, on performance, KPIs, return on investment, conversion rates, on growth metrics. That wasn't me anymore. It felt too masculine, too analytical. I'm someone who works deeply from intuition, from a feeling, and from my own trust from the inside. And I didn't want to spend my energy anymore analyzing conversion rates and click through numbers all day long. So I had to make this change, not by giving everything up, but by realigning. For example, I brought people into my team who could take over those areas, those people that feel aligned with those areas. Another really amazing thing that I did when I was in this crazy state of exhaustion, and it was in the middle of a confusion because, when you're having a burnout, you don't even know what's right or wrong anymore. You're so disconnected from yourself. You probably don't even know what are your values. You don't know anything anymore. So you live under a huge fog. You can't see anything anymore. And in that case, I did something which was one of the most powerful turning points in my life. And it's something I truly recommend to anybody, no matter where you are right now, whether you are just starting your business, whether you're already deep in it, or whether you're currently going through a phase of exhaustion or even burnout. I honestly really recommend that to you. I decided to do a face reading. And I have to say, it was so eye-opening for me because in a face reading, your face is getting analyzed in the smallest details. And what might sound surprising at first is actually something really profound. Your life is reflected in your face. This practice comes from ancient Chinese traditions, and it allows you to see things that go far beyond what we usually perceive on the surface. You can see what state a person is currently in, whether they feel, for example, fulfilled, whether something is missing, whether they are in balance or in a conflict. But beyond that, you can also see their talents, their strengths, their natural abilities, and also the challenges they might carry within themselves. And what touched me the most was that you can see a person's life path in their face. So you can see where life is guiding them, and you can even see traces of how they have been living in the past years. When I had my first session of face reading, my whole life made so much sense to me, and I started to understand why certain things happened in my past or why I decided to do certain things. For the first time, I truly understood who I really am, and not based on what others told me or any expectations, but really based on my own nature. Honestly, my entire life suddenly started to make sense, like why I feel in a certain way, why I react the way I react, why certain things have always been difficult for me while they are super easy for others. And honestly, so many characteristics that they have been labeled as weaknesses, for example, being emotional, being sensitive, reacting deeply, suddenly revealed themselves as strengths to me. I could finally see them from a different perspective. I understood why my emotions are actually my biggest power, why my sensitivity is such an amazing tool I've been given for this life, and why my deep analyzing when it comes to situations, life events, etc., or even other people, why this is not wrong, why this is super helpful in my life. That's why I would really recommend you to do a face reading, because you also learn about your talents and your strengths. You learn what kind of way is good for you, what kind of way is maybe not good for you. After the face reading, I understood that my business is perfect for me, that I made the right decision to become an entrepreneur, because I was even doubting that I have built a company. When you face a burnout, you're so foggy in your head that you don't, like I said already, you don't know what's right or wrong. So I was getting to a point where I thought, okay, maybe my business is the issue. I have to stop my business. I can't deal with it anymore. And maybe it's not right for me, because it felt like this. Everything felt so overwhelming to me. So I started to doubt my decision to become a company owner. When I did the face reading, I understood that my company is perfectly right for me. It is just the constellation of my company is not right. So I have to get people that help me and that I can step into my creativity again. Besides living your life according to your values, and also do a face reading so that you know who you really are, what are your talents, your strengths, so that you exactly know, am I going the right way? Am I going the way of passion, or am I going the way of fighting against myself? Besides these two important steps, the third step that I would really recommend you to take is to let go of the perfectionism, because this perfectionism that comes again from this old world, which is now falling apart, doesn't serve us anymore. Perfectionism always brings us away from our true self. For example, if you are constantly eating too little because the perfectionism tells you you have to be very, very slim, you have to look a certain way, and you push yourself, your body so hard with excessive exercise every single day, and essentially fighting against your femininity, what you're actually doing on a deeper level is shutting down your system. And one of the most important parts of your system in that context is your vagus nerve, because your vagus nerve, or vagus nerve, I don't even really know how to pronounce it in English, but this nerve plays a crucial role, not only for your nervous system as a whole, but also for your emotional regulation, your inner calm, and most importantly, your connection to your intuition. It is in a way your direct access point to yourself, to your inner world, to your inner self. When you lose the connection to your inner guidance, you don't live in trust anymore. You start to live in fear. Because if you are connected to yourself, you have the trust. You trust, okay, my inner guide is telling me this is the right way for me. So I can trust that. But if you're disconnected, you don't know where to go. So you are living in fear because you don't know what to trust. You don't know what's going to happen. The main issue is because if you live in fear, your entire system is in a constant state of stress. And when you are in that state, you become controllable. You become controllable by external circumstances, like, for example, changes in the market, changes in the financial system, changes in general in the system. The world is crazy at the moment. So you become very, very controllable by these things that are happening around you. War, inflation, market changes, changes in your clients. Maybe you don't get enough clients anymore, or you are in general in fear and you think like, oh my God, I can't build this business because this can happen and this can happen, So you become super controllable by the media if your vagus nerve doesn't work properly and you don't have connection to yourself anymore. At the same time, you lose access to your creativity, to that space within you where new ideas are born, where innovation can happen, where true abundance can unfold. You are in a way cutting yourself off from your own potential. And that's why exactly is so important, especially in this time that we begin to let go of this perfectionism. When the structures and the systems, the safety around you is falling apart, breaking down, you need your creativity, because your creativity will guide you to ways that they can show you new opportunities, ways to build a business, ways to change your life, ways to get into the state of happiness again. The most essential part of this entire process is acceptance. As I said in the beginning, the state is a gift. This state of burnout, exhaustion, depression, etc. is a pure gift for you. And that gift only unfolds when you truly accept it. That means allowing everything that comes up, every emotion, every feeling. For me, that was a lot of fear, but also a deep, deep grief. I cried a lot for days. And with that, many old things surfaced. The loss of my grandmother, the loss of my aunt, feelings of guilt for leaving my family when I moved abroad, leaving them behind, for example. All of these traumas, all of these feelings that they have been suppressed for such a long time, they came up. And that is exactly what needs to happen. Because these emotions were never the problem, suppressing them was the problem. And if you continue to push them away, they will come back stronger and even louder. And that's why it's so important to sit with it, to sit in the middle of the fire, even if it feels uncomfortable and overwhelming. Allow it without any judgment. If you need to cry, cry. If you need days to process it, take your time. You are allowed to take space for yourself. And that is not selfish, because the truth is, if you're not well, nothing around you can truly be well either. Not your family, not your children, and not your business. And especially in the world we are living right now, this is what we need more than anything else. People who are connected to themselves, people who are willing to feel, people that stop running away, because this is how we truly heal ourselves. And I know this episode sounds maybe very spiritual, but in reality, it's deeply practical, because when you go through this process, when you truly allow it, this state of exhaustion will not break you. It will transform you. It will become your greatest strength. And I promise you that from my own experience. And that is why, even for prevention, the message is the same. Don't run away. Look at it. Look at your feelings and emotions. Feel them. Allow them. Because emotions want to move and they want to flow through you. They don't want to be suppressed. They are all energy. And the moment that flow is restored, your life begins to flow again. And within that flow, you reconnect with your true power, the one that has always been with you, but you could not feel the connection anymore because your focus was too much on the outside. Your focus was too much on things that didn't really serve you anymore. And believe me, this process is super beautiful. This process is, I know it's not comfortable, but it will change your life, and it will take a little bit of time, yes, but you will understand once you went down this road, you will understand that all of this was meant to be, that it makes so much sense and it was meant to happen to you, and you will be grateful for it once you look back to this time and to your burnout or whatever is in your life at the moment. If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to take a moment, not to do more, not to fix anything, but simply to notice what moved inside of you. Growth does not start with doing, it starts with awareness. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss the next episode. And if you feel called to, share it with another woman who is building or becoming. Because we don't need to hustle harder, we don't need to silence our emotions. We simply need to lead ourselves differently. Thank you for being here, thank you for doing this work, and remember, the way you lead yourself determines what you build. I'll see you in the next episode.